Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jamie. I'm about to go in the office here, so I'm not just dressed up to impress you, but I wanted to go over this auction I participated in and how it went, because I had a lot of questions. I put some, I posted this in a couple of the Facebook groups that I participate in. They're real estate groups. They're not mine. And I had a lot of questions. I had a lot of comments and some DMs about the property. So I figured I'm going to mention that today, because in the stocks, options, cryptocurrency, and real estate stuff that I post here, I thought it was worth mentioning. So this is how it went. I have different realtors that I'll talk to try to give me opportunities, at least let me know. Now I tell them if something comes up, I'm going to take care of them, and I try to let them be the buyer's agent as well as the selling agent for me, or for me and my wife. And I think they're more enticed by doing that, because they get the whole commission instead of having to split it with somebody else. So it also works to your benefit when you're negotiating, because now if they give up a little bit, they're okay with it, because they're still going to make the 5 or 4% or whatever they decide to take, depending on the agent. So a lot of times when the agents say, I'm not going to give up my percentage, just because they know that they're going to also have to split that with another buyer or selling agent. So anyway, if there's a property listed, I'll usually contact that agent and say, I will you're the seller, you're the representative for the seller, would you also represent me as the buyer? And they're like, oh, great. All right, so I make a lot of contacts, and in turn I'll get different emails, text messages, phone calls that will say, hey, check this out, versus just like the drip of MLS listings, which takes no work. It's just like, hey, here's some properties. I don't have an actual, I wish I had a way to go into MLS and mess around with a few things myself, but you got to be an agent, and I'm not there yet. Might do that down the road. But in the meantime, I had somebody contact me that I'm dealing with, and he said, hey, Jamie, there's an auction coming up yesterday, and that was the 18th. And if you'd like to go, I can meet you there. So he didn't want to give it up to me, but he felt like it was a trade-off, like him giving me this tip, which could work out. It would still work out for him. And if I did buy it and get a deal, I would have took care of him anyway. But I didn't win, and I didn't expect to win. I didn't go there. In my head, I was like, I'm going to go there. There's going to be a lot of people there bidding. And I've been to auctions for the auto industry, and I bought millions and millions of dollars of pre-owned cars for our dealerships. Millions and millions of dollars. So I'm very familiar with the process. And typically what I would do at a car is just evaluate the car as how much I think it's worth retail, and then versus what I have to buy it for, pay fees, ship it, run it through service, clean it up, and we call it what's called frontline ready to sell it. So in the real estate world, I think their ARV, appraised retail value, or after rehab value, basically, I think it's appraised retail value. So I look at, if I get the house, the property, the land, here's my cost, here's what I have to do to it to get it frontline ready or retail ready, and then put it on the market. And what are all those costs, and what's the time frame? With cars, you don't want to sit on them because they depreciate. I think real estate's a little bit different, but there's a lot of cost to hold the property, or there can be, between taxes and if there's a mortgage involved, you got to pay the mortgage. Even though it goes against even though it goes against the principal, you're still paying interest, right? And it's still a cost that you have to incur until somebody either buys it or rents it from you. So that being said, I went there hoping that there'd be nobody there, or very few people there, and you have to start with $10,000, and then maybe nobody would bid on it, and I'd win it because they need to get rid of the property, and I'd steal it for 10 to 100,000, and I was hopeful. It's like somebody getting a scratch ticket or a lottery ticket and hoping that they win. It's unlikely, but I did secretly hope that. But that's not how it went. There was over 70 people there, almost 100 people there bidding. Some were contractors, right? Companies, personal, people, just regular people looking to buy a house. I mean, because anyone can go, but your price of admission, so to speak, is you have to have a a certified bank check, right, made out to the town. In this case, it was the town of Burlington. So I've learned that because my guy said call the auction house and speak to them about the property to get the details, because he didn't know it all. So I called there. I spoke to a guy named Stan, and Stan said, go to our website, and all of our auctions, which led to more opportunities in the future, we'll have the parcel and all the details of it and the specs and the lot plan, all that stuff. So I went there, I checked out the property, I read the 13 pages. I found out there were some cars that came with the property that they weren't like cars that were going to help anybody. It's more of a hassle to take care of. The property you couldn't do a walkthrough. You could drive by, but it was definitely, it looked like a tear down. It was in real bad shape. So I'm going to post that property up here just so you can look at it and check it out. You show up with a bank check made out to the town of Burlington. He recommended that I put not only the town of Burlington, but put my name, so the town of Burlington in this case, or Jamie, and put my name, Jamie Betty. So if I lost, which I did, they give you back your check. It's just a little faster just to go deposit. Either way, you get the money back. So you got all these people, 70, 80, 90 people with bank checks in hand to say, hey, we're all serious to buy. Now, if you win, you have 30 days in this case to close. I think each property might be a little bit different because I read a couple and they weren't all the same. But this one was you had 30 days to close. If you didn't close on the for the amount that you agreed to, you lose the $10,000. Okay. If you win, they get the $10,000 plus whatever you owe them, and you have to come up with the money, whether it's private money, a bank, a hard money lender, whatever the case is. They want to be paid, and then you have to do something with that property. They don't want it just to sit there. That was another stipulation I found out afterwards. So I had a couple of my circle of guys that said, hey, Jamie, out of the 10 people, I had 2 or 3 say, hey, if you win, for a certain amount, we definitely would like to get in on that. Because I did my analysis, and I was like, well, if I buy this property, I think my wife and I would like to be no more than $400,000, according to what I looked at, and some people I talked to that I respected, of what I think the property would be worth. I'd prefer not to tear it down because it'd be cheaper to rehab it and then rent it. But if you do have to tear it down for the price of square footage and architecture and hiring an architect, permits and all that stuff, engineers that come in, survey and all that kind of stuff for what you want, which is a long process. And then for the price of material and getting the help, it could be 6, 8, 10, 12 months before you get there. And hundreds of thousands of dollars on top of whatever you pay. So $400,000 was our absolute max. And I expected it to go higher, but I expected it to go around 500. But I was like, hey, if we can get it for 400, that's the deal that makes sense for me. And if it went a little bit higher, I would have been okay with it. So the second bid was 400,000 out of the 75, 85 people that were there. So I was already out. I was like, oh, this is gonna go crazy. And it actually went up to $575,000. And the property had $46,000 of fees attached to it. And then there was some closing costs. And then those stipulations of you got to develop it within a certain amount of time. So overall, it's a $625,000 investment. Now, maybe you'll make some money in those cars, and I'm wrong. I didn't see anything there where I was like, oh, that car is worth $100,000. It's an old Porsche, Carrera that's in the garage in one of those barns. I don't know. Maybe that's why he paid more. But now it's that person. It didn't seem like a company that has got to take on that responsibility. Has to come up with $625,000 total within 30 days, and then whatever afterwards. Then he's going to spend, let's say, $700,000-$800,000, because the higher end homes in this part of Burlington, Massachusetts, the lot is probably worth $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. Okay, but then you got to do all the other stuff. So if you spend another $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, you're into it for 1.2 to 1.4 million. Is my projection. That's what I looked at, all in. Now, if the market holds up, then that means you could flip it and probably make a couple $100,000, $200,000 or $300,000. long as he's sustainable, meaning he can carry that for the time frame it needs to be done. I don't know the guy. I don't know his position. I don't know if he's a multimillionaire and he's like, yeah, that's fine, I'll do that. Versus, okay, I got to make this happen, or he's getting in over his head and just wishful thinking. I don't like to go in somewhere. I'm not telling you I've never done that, and just assume, hey, you know, I gotta, you know, just go after this and make it happen. It's okay to take some risk, but for me, I want to make calculated risk and have like, just like buying stocks. I'll say like, I don't want to pay more than this, and if I lose this amount, I don't want to lose more than that, unless it's a company I'm going to keep forever. So if I was moving to that property, it was going to be my primary residence, I may not care. If I knew I could develop it and I did some more due diligence and they said you could make it a duplex or a fourplex or something like that, then I'd be a little bit more inclined to go higher. But this came to me kind of quickly. I didn't have a lot of time to do too much research. I did look on the Google Maps. I checked out the neighborhood, drove by the property, you know, got a lot of input. From what I could gather as quickly as I could, because this kind of happens with auctions, with cars, is, you know, a car might come available and you kind of have to be quick to say, okay, if I can get it for this, great, and if not, I'm okay with it. So I was okay with losing, but I wanted to get through the process. So ultimately, I will follow this property and see where it goes in the next 6 months to a year. I'll be curious, as that's the first auction I've ever participated in. And then if I go to the next one, I kind of have that expectation of there's going to be a lot of people right now bidding and overpaying still. And because Burlington, Massachusetts, to me, is not like you're on the beach. You know, you get a lot of, you know, snow. We get like the weather. You're not like, yeah, there's the mountains here to go skiing. We're in the city. The roads aren't the greatest. I mean, there's not a lot of appeal, but people are still paying a lot of money for Burlington, Bedford, Lexington, Wilmington, even Billerica, and Tewksbury and the surrounding towns in that area. So that market. So all these areas I'm telling you about are only about 15-20 minutes from Boston, which is kind of like a little New York City, so to speak. Anyway, that was my experience as far as investing goes with real estate stuff, as I'm actively looking now to participate in that. I still have a land deal I'm working on, so as that comes up, if it goes somewhere, I'll talk about that process. And once I nail one of them, it'll be easier to document and show to other people on how that works, so you can kind of check out for yourself the process and the things that come along the way. All right, guys, have a great Thursday, and I'll see you next time. Bye.